So I want to talk about a few things. First thing I want to talk about is workplace mobbing. So I've been at the job I've had for about 6 months, and the job I had before, I was there for 2 years. And as many of you guys know, going through the targeting with the workplace mobbing, like how it goes. And when I was there, I was number one in the numbers. I was really good at my job. I learned how to operate lifts and do all kinds of stuff. And they even offered me a lead position, but I didn't want to because I felt I was good enough at my job. I didn't need that. Even though it was a little bit more money, I just didn't want to deal with more stress, having to do with coworkers and other things, more responsibilities than I already had. And so I was there for 2 years, and they were harassing me towards the end, like big time. Every time a new hire would come, like the job I had, we'd have to have pallets and stack boxes and wrap up boxes on pallets. So we'd have a pallet full of products. And every time we gotta start a new pallet, there's this area where there's a bunch of pallets stacked, and you gotta get some. And they would tell every new hire, because I would see it with every new hire. I already knew it was some people that were there that worked there since I started, but every new hire would do the same thing. If they passed by me, they'd kick my pallet. And at first I would let it slide. I'd be like, I already know I'm targeted, I'm being singled out. Maybe they won't do it all the time, but eventually, it was their point to get me frustrated and mad and to lash out, and I did. Not violently, but I got in people's face and got aggressive because I was getting tired of that. Like they're just doing all these little petty things, like that's what kids do. Like try and destroy your stuff, like get physical, but not even touch you, just try to mess up what you got going on, And so I had like some confrontation with some people, and they got me out of there. But the way they did it was one day I was gonna go to work, and the supervisor texted me saying, "Oh, we don't need you today. Show up tomorrow, and then we'll call you to see what's going on, and then to talk to the HR and manager and all that." So I already knew something was up. And when I get to work the next day to show up, there was already some guy talking to the plant manager, who I know he didn't like me at all. Ever since this guy started working there, he would just stare at me, like even from like across the building, he would stare at me, and everywhere I went, he wouldn't take his eyes off me all the time. And I would tell him, like, "Why are you always staring at me?" And he would just deny, like, "I'm not staring at you." Like that's some of the games that these people play. Like, there's anything to get you off your balance, to get you angry, anything, because the whole point is they say you're a bad guy, you're a criminal, right? You're this dangerous person, and when they know, most of us TIs probably aren't. Maybe we've gotten in trouble here and there, but we're not what they're trying to make us out to be. But they'll do these things to try and get you to be that person. So if they say you're a violent person, they're gonna try and push you to get angry and lash out violently, And this guy that didn't like me, I already knew, and he would always be staring all the time ever since he started working there. He was already talking to the plant manager, giving him whatever last word, like, they knew that they were gonna get rid of me and fire me. And so I don't know what he told him, but he was already talking to him. I already know he was just throwing more to the fire to to make me look even worse. And so the way they did it is they didn't fire me straight up. They kind of didn't explain exactly what was happening and saying, "We're gonna let you go," and then put some papers in front of me to sign. And I wasn't really thinking much about it. I was already just kind of done with the job. I was like, whatever. And what I was really signing was papers of saying that I quit. And it's kind of dirty how they did it, because they didn't want me to get unemployment. They didn't want me to do anything like that, like if they fired me. So it just looks like I quit. And that's some of the things that they do to try and get targets out of their job. And they harass you and single you out when they treat other co-workers better, that you might even be a better worker, a way better worker. You might even have better attendance, but they'll treat these guys better because it's their own. But at this new job, I'm working with a family member, so it's not exactly me being singled out just alone, you know. I'm with a family member, and not only that, it's a way bigger company. The company I was working for, my last job, was small. I think even family owned, and it's local. It's local to this town that I'm in, and so that it was easy to isolate me and to single me out because they all have each other's back, and I'm the odd one out. But here at this new job, it's a way bigger company, and so it's a lot more public. You know, people of all ethnicities, whatever, work there, and so it seems like it's harder for them to do the harassment on me. Not exactly harder, but maybe they know it's not as easy because they can't single me out that same way. But there's still things I see, like I started to notice around December, before the holidays, whatever, I would see people wearing red and black specifically. And it was because one day, like, if you're a TI, you get adjusted to these things. Like, you start to pick up these patterns. And if you haven't, you start thinking that way. Start thinking in the way of to recognize patterns and connections, because then you'll start to see how these things work, and you can be able to avoid a lot of things. Or like, you'll see something and be like, oh, I already know what that is. I see that coming. I'm gonna avoid that. So, but I'm thinking it has to do with the holidays, because even though some TIs out there don't believe there's no spiritual aspect to this, there's no religious aspect to this, but it's just not true. Because in my targeting, I've seen a lot of Masons, satanic people, and people that I know for sure, like, even if they don't say what they are, they hate God, and they hate the Bible, they hate Jesus. They'll always talk down on God and the Bible and Jesus, right? And so I noticed these people will wear red and black. Like, one day specifically, the way you can tell is because most people be like, oh, I wear red and black, anybody will wear black, what do you mean? But when you see on a specific day, like 5, 6, 7 people, like in a row, like in different areas, even at work, all wearing this color, that's how you know, like, yeah, that's the colors, right? And then maybe a few months later, around the time of in Chile, there was a fire, kind of like Maui, the Maui fires. And if anybody's done research on that, you'll know that things that were blue, or houses that had blue roofs or blue cars, whatever, didn't get damaged by the fires. You know, there's something weird about that. People are thinking if it's directed energy weapons, then these direct energy weapons can't do anything to the color blue. And so around the time of the Chile fires, I've seen, even in the Maui fires last year, I would see blue everywhere. I'm like, and not just perps. I would see, I'm subscribed to like 1,000 and something YouTube channels. I try to look all over the place, find knowledge, find this topic, that topic. I try to get as much information as I can, you know. And I would even see YouTubers, big YouTubers, smaller YouTubers, of all genres and categories, wearing these same colors. So with this gang stalking thing, it's even deeper than just the gang stalkers. It's literally a secret society network that citizens get involved in. And just like, you know, many TIs would know, they have some kind of app they use of how they get their orders and this and that. I know for sure they got, every day is like the colors, wear this color or that color, because I swear I would start to see people wearing red and black, blue and black. And when I say that, it would be like one week red and black, next week blue and black, and a bunch of people, not just 1, 2, 3, and not just at work. I'd be driving around and I see people on the street wearing, and then YouTubers, like I said. So it's definitely deeper than just the gang stalking. It's literally a whole society thing. And that makes sense if you do your research, because of what's going on nowadays, that they're trying to bring a new world order in. And if all of these people are down with that, then this is their society. And people like me and you that are targeted, we're not a part of that. We're the ones that they are keeping an eye on, the ones that they know that they can't break us, but we're not gonna do what they want us to do, like how they are, like puppets, you know what I mean? And so yeah, there's all kinds of colors and workplace mobbing at my new job. And another thing that happens is not like on my last job where they'd get physical, you know, kick my palate and stuff. But there'd be times where I know that there's an app that they use, because I tend to, you know, like keep to myself a lot, right? The type of person I am, like if I can sense drama, if I can sense people are shady, you know, I'd rather just avoid you and not even talk to you. And some people who don't know me will be like, man, this guy's really quiet. And really, I can be a very social person. I'll talk to anybody, but since going through this targeting and all the things I've gone through, you know, I just started to trust my instinct big time now. And all TIs out there, trust your gut. It's never wrong. And my gut's always telling me, you know, avoid this person, avoid that person. And it usually ends up being true. Like later on, they do something where the up. I felt that vibe. I felt like, you know, this person was shady, or like, you know, that at one point their shadiness will come out. And so while I'm at work, I try to avoid people and stuff. But you know, if I have to interact, you know, like for the job, because obviously you have to talk to your coworkers. You can't just be completely quiet. Like I wish I just had my own spot, or just work for myself, like, you know, anybody, right? We don't want to work these jobs, but it's the system, right? But there'd be times like I work in a trailer and I'm loading it with freight, with boxes, right? Stacking up walls. And so if I'm in there by myself, you know, I'm not really talking to nobody, and they let us get away with one ear plug of music. So I'm just listening to my music, doing my thing. But my coworkers, it's like, if I'm quiet, it's such a big problem. If I'm not talking to them, they take it so personal or something. But there's another one of my coworkers in the same area. He don't talk to nobody, and they leave him alone. He don't talk to nobody, and they're not bothered by him. But I see he wears the colors and he does that, so he's one of them. So yeah, if you're one of them, it's cool. But if you're a target, anything you do, they're on to you. And so there'd be times I'm all quiet, right? And it seemed like it's not a lead, but he's kind of like a lead of where I'm at. They call it a door runner. And so he comes around and makes sure everybody's doing good, and he tells you where to go. If this trailer is done, you go to the next trailer. But he'll go in the trailer with me, and he'll be like, I can tell he's all awkwarded out, like he doesn't know what to say to me, this and that. But there's a lot of times he comes in the trailer, right, and he pulls out his phone. Because here's another thing. Just before I started working there, they changed the rule where now you can have your phones at work. And I thought that was suspicious. Like, it could be just a coincidence that they just made that rule just to make that rule. But I thought it was suspicious they made that rule right before I started working, because to me that makes it seem like that makes it easier for them to do their harassment and gang stalking if they're able to get orders on the phone or this or that. But whenever he will go in the trailer and I'm in there alone, it's like he doesn't know what to say to me, so he pulls the phone out. And I seen him do it multiple times. The reason why I know it's like this is because there'd be times he pulls his phone out, and then the next thing he comes up to me, says something, but it's directed conversation. Like he'll say something that has to do with me, or like my week before, or something even at my last job, that they would do these directed conversations. And that's how I know, oh, whenever he comes in, he's looking at his phone, he's trying to find out what to say to me. Like, he didn't come up with that. In the app, it's like they have, I'm guessing they have each targeted individual's like phrases, trigger words, and since they already know about us, they know like certain things to make the directed conversation. And so when they look at their app, whatever, they can pull up something. And I even know they can see your mood. Even if there's times I'm upset and I'm not telling nobody, you know, like I'm just at work, I'm just trying to get through this, go home, you know, just like anybody else. I'm not trying to deal with these people. I'm all upset. And when my coworker comes in the trailer, he's like, are you feeling all right? Are you okay? And it's like, I didn't even tell them. Maybe it's the look on my face, but like, you know, when you know like that they know too much, you know, because it'd be like, I was literally only upset for like a few minutes. How do you know I'm upset? Like, when we were talking just before, you know, it's not just a great guess. They know, like, they can measure with the technology they have. Everybody who's done their research with the technology they have, they can measure your neural activity, this and that. They can see if you're in a bad mood, all that. And so, and when I was at my last job, they would purposely upset me, right? Their whole point was to try and get me out of the job. And so they would do things to harass me. And when I get upset, my lead would come up not there's no word spoken. He'd just be like, he's like, you good? You good? Always with the thumbs up. And that became the thing. And now they're starting to do that here at my new job. And I'd be like, oh, no. Like, he's doing, like, the lead of my new job is doing this and that. Like, you good? But I know he didn't come up with that because it's exactly the same way they were doing on my last job. So I'm like, oh, okay. But the good thing is, like I said, I work with a family member. It's a bigger company. So I can tell that they can't exactly harass me in the same way that they would on my last job. But I know they want to. I know they do. And another thing I want to talk about to other TIs out there is how many of you guys feel like you've been targeted since birth or since you were a kid? Because now we have information, right? It's the information age. Now with the internet, we have all this information. We can learn things we didn't know before. And I know there's a lot of kids out there. I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 94. And I live in Kansas. But growing up, just me, I had two brothers, you know, no very bad circumstances, you know, just middle class, whatever, typical American. But I would always be angry, like intense rage and like fighting with my brothers, always mad, always upset. And to a point where I was 7 years old, right? And I was just so upset, so mad. Like there was my parents had some friends and their kids, like me and my brothers would play with their kids, but I'd always be getting into fights with these kids. And like there was just a time, like I was a young kid, 7 years old, and I just knew deep inside, like, nah, this isn't me. I'm not this angry person. Like I'm not violent, I'm not angry, none of this. Like even as a kid, I knew that wasn't me, and that something is attacking me, something else is getting to me. And now I know it's these frequency weapons. And so that's why I want to know how many of targets out there feel like they were targeted since a kid, that you've been attacked by these direct energy weapons even as a kid. And then when you look up the patents, you look up all these things in the 90s and in the early 2000s, these things existed even before. So it's not far-fetched to think that. And also, how many of you guys, because the school system's corrupt, obviously, how many of you guys were a kid and the school told your parents that you need to be on medication because you're too disruptive, you're too hyperactive, this and that? They did that to me too. And I know like that was part of the system, that was part of the program. They thought it's behavior modification. There's something about how you are that they don't like, and they want to change your behavior so you can be manageable, right? If these people want to control our society, control everybody, they're watching you from birth. They see you, how you are in school, how you act, how you interact. And so, and like I hear stories like nowadays, there's kids that they're hyperactive or, you know, like disruptive in class, and they put them on Adderall, and people get addicted to Adderall. That's illegal meth, you know. Like kids shouldn't have to be put on these medications and stuff. They had me on like 2 pills a day for like a few years straight, and I went from a kid that, you know, I want to socialize, talk to people and everything, to I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was just, and I still suffer from the effects of that, to where it changed a part of my personality, and that was their point. There was something about me they didn't like, about how I acted, how I wasn't about, and they wanted to change that. But that's what's not right. These people feel like they have control of people, but it's the system we live in. And so I want to know how many of you guys feel like you've been targeted since birth. And another thing I would say, when I was 7 and there was a time I knew I was being attacked, that I'm not this angry kid all the time, whatever. And I made a prayer, you know. I wasn't raised going to church. I didn't really read the Bible, and I'm only 7 years old. I don't know about God. Like my parents didn't teach me about the Bible, this and that. But you tell me, how is that? How did I know that I'm being attacked? This isn't me, and I needed to pray. I need to pray of whoever's attacking me, you know, like to stop it, and that I don't want to be this angry person, because it was starting to make me depressed, you know. And I know this is all, it was all internal. That's how this technology works. It's with your mind, right? Everything rests in the mind. They know, especially of the targets that are very strong mentally and spiritually and this and that. That's why with this mobbing, all this street theater, all that, it doesn't get to you. That's why they hit you with these frequencies. They hit you with these direct energy, because they know there's no other way to get to you. if they can get to your thoughts. And that's why I encourage all TIs, whatever, to really do your studies, really do your research, really look for solutions. And it's all available to us, you know, your phone, the internet. You can look up all this information. That's what's helped me. Like, I would have lost my mind a long time ago with all this thing, especially these directed energy attacks. I already know how they operate, like street theater and all their tactics, so that doesn't bother me. But sometimes I know I'm being attacked, or like, you can tell if you're in tune with your own thoughts enough, if you're in tune with yourself enough, you can tell when there's a thought that's not your own. And when you get to a point where you can determine which is your own thoughts and which is not, I feel like that's when they know, oh, they can't get with that, and so they do more to try and get you. And another thing I want to talk about is there's a lot of fake targeted individuals in this community, and a few ways I know is they'll do all the hand signs, right? They'll do this, they'll do that, all the Mason hand signs. They'll be like this, and in their titles they'll have emojis. Not that emojis are bad, but like, why are you talking about this? And you have the demon emoji, you have this, like that's kind of deceptive. And then there'll be some female TIs, you know, men TIs out there, you know, don't I'm not trying to be against women or anything, but when you see a woman who's just, you know, showing videos of herself dancing and this and that, trying to say she's targeted, like, that's kind of a red flag. Like, are you really targeted, or are you just trying to get people, you know, down the wrong path? That you're trying to get these people who are really targeted and to like lure them into whatever, maybe even a new age belief, whatever. But you'll see that, you'll see them wear the colors. And then I also will see these fake TIs, they'll be commenting on other fake TI channels, and they'll use the emojis and everything. They'll use the target emoji and this and that. And I'm not saying emojis, if you use emojis, you're fake, whatever, but I've seen this pattern, right? Like, as a TI, you got to be able to recognize these patterns. And then there was even a time I commented on one of these channels talking about fake TIs, because this person was talking about fake TIs. And they deleted that video. And I was saying some of the things I'm saying right now. I was like, yeah, you can tell when they're fake when they put all these emojis in their titles, and then they use these colors and do these hand signs and stuff, right? Because they study us, right? I seen a video talking about the chosen ones, well, quote unquote chosen one, because like, if you do your research, that was a term coined by the enemy to do a, you know, a psyop to throw people off. But you'll see that they copy us, right? Like, even celebrities, they're not as talented as they are. They just happen to be in that position and have money and stuff. But you'll see like someone like Drake, whatever, like, he's looking out across the country of these low rappers, right? And stealing their ideas because he doesn't even have that in him. So these people, as much as they hate us, as much as they want to bring us down, they envy us, they admire us, they get their inspiration from us, they get all their best ideas from us. And that's why they know we have good ideas. They know a lot of the TIs have a strong mind, a very creative mind, inventive mind, innovative mind. And that's why they target us, because we're not on their side. They want these minds, right? They want our mind, they just don't want us because of what we stand for, which is not for the system. And another way I would say about the fake TIs is that they'll say that this thing is not spiritual at all, that has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with the Bible. But I beg to differ. And when it comes to the Bible, people get turned off for that because of the church. The church is corrupt, that's for sure. The Freemasons run the church, especially the Catholic Church is very corrupt. But if you do your research and you read the scriptures, you'll find the truth in there. And if you do further investigation, the King James Bible isn't even, it has been edited, right? So you got to take it even further than that, because there's a Bible from before called the Geneva Bible, which is a little different. And King James made his version the authorized version because he edited it to where it doesn't the scriptures doesn't affect his power and his rule. So, and not only that, but they want to say, oh, Jesus and the Bible are fake, when everybody celebrates. You know, like at my job recently, they had food for everybody for Ramadan. You know, they'll celebrate Ramadan. They'll celebrate this religion, Hinduism, whatever. Why is the Bible and Jesus the only religion, even in cartoon shows, movies, everywhere, that they make fun of and they mock? If it's not the truth, why even talk about it? Why put your energy to it if it's not true? The fact that they always have to mock it, the fact that they always bring it up, is showing you that it has to be true. And all other religions, all other gods, Buddhism, everything else, they get a pass. You know, they get to be heard. They get what they want. So you really think about that. Really think about that. And I just want to also say, you know, the ways of TIs we can help ourselves is, number one way is do your research, because that it's key. It's everything. The way that these people have the power is because of our ignorance. The way that they can get to you is because you don't know what their tactics are. But when you know how they work, how the enemy operates, how this world operates, how this is a spiritual world, that things aren't what they seem, that we live in a corrupt system, then you know how to deal with this better. If you didn't know anything at all, you're getting attacked, all these things, like, yeah, it'd be like, man, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And the fact we have the internet age, there's other people out there like me and you know, that nobody's alone in this. So remember that, like, nobody's alone in this. And I will say that God is real, right? Like, one example, in the original Bible, it said his name was Yahuwah. And in King James, they changed it to Lord God. But if you do further research, Lord God, Lord means Baal, which was a god that they worshipped and sacrificed to back in the day. And God is another word where it was originally spelled G-A-W-D. I don't remember what it means, but that's how you know if they're gonna change the Bible, this and that. And this thing has been around for so long, and they attack it so much that it's true, that they even wanted to change the name of it. So yeah, so do your own research, and if you believe in God, you know, do further research into that and keep your faith in God. And if you don't believe in God, give it a chance. What I'm saying, you know, obviously these people hate God. I don't know about you guys' targeting, but in my targeting, they're always making sure I know that these people are atheists and that they hate God, mostly because they know I stand for that. But there's definitely a religious element to this, a spiritual element to this thing. And just watch out for the fake TI, watch out for the tactics of these people, you know, because their whole point is to throw you off, because they don't want us to help each other. They don't want us to wake other people up. And also, when it comes to doing your own research, even with things like what you eat, look up, there's bad ingredients in foods, there's good ingredients, there's organic versus inorganic, you know, exercise, all these things. I'm trying my best to get all my food organic, everything, you know, and it's helping. It helps with the mind, it helps with the body. I mean, if we're already being attacked with it, just do everything you can to make it not as bad, because we can't make it stop, but we can definitely do something about it. So I want to leave you guys with that. Peace.